Hi guys, my channel is called Spirit Phantom Wolf Fox, but you can just call me Isa. This is a fanfiction I wrote with NCIS, Hawaiian 5-0, and Twilight. I do not own the characters, they belong to their own creators. This is 18 plus, so you have been warned. I'm using a speech-to-text app since I'm dyslexic and it's hard for me to talk for long periods of time. I did some off-camera mining, collecting some blocks, found some lucky blocks, I broke those, and collecting some waystones. I hope you guys enjoy this fanfiction and video.
Bella's POV. I went to work early, wearing some comfortable clothes, cargo pants, a black tank top and a sweater. I put one of the coffees I got on Gibbs' desk, and headed over to mine finishing up the report on Edward Cullen, who killed 5 female Marines. He had medical knowledge on the human body because his adoptive father Carlisle Cullen was a doctor, and apparently I fit his profile. I went undercover wearing a tracker, but he had a scrambler, and when I was taken, it took a while for the guys to find me. Of course I put up a fight, and Edward apparently knew me because we went to school together. He had a weird obsession with me, and then I realized who he was. He was the stalker from middle school, and if my twin brother Danny ever found out what happened, he would have a fit. He wasn't too happy when I joined the Marines when I was 18, but it's something I was glad I did. I was quickly shaken out of my thoughts when Tony and McGee walked in. Hey Bella, didn't think you would be coming in since you know a few of your ribs were cracked and you were shot in the abdomen. I just looked at Tony. It's not the first time I've been beaten up like that, plus I need to finish up my report, which I'm now done with. Before McGee or Tony could say anything, I quickly got my stuff together and they looked confused. I gave McGee a look and he quickly understood, going to grab his stuff too. Tony started to spat off about something and me and McGee just looked at him. He's behind me, isn't he? We just nod our heads. Yep. Good observation, Denozo. He gets quickly smacked behind the head and Gibbs continues. Get your gear, dead Marine in Hawaii. Wait, we're going to Hawaii? Gibbs, yeah, we're going to Hawaii. Bella, and yes, you can see your brother when the job is over. Thanks, Gibbs. We quickly get our gear and head out on our airplane. An hour later, we landed in Hawaii and quickly got a rental car. I was with Gibbs, Tony and McGee were with each other. I quickly put my hat on and then my jacket. We soon arrived at the house where the dead Marine was killed. We all quickly get out of the cars and head inside. Tony bag and grab McGee, go ask people. Bella, go take pictures. We quickly went and did our jobs. When we were finished, we headed out of the house and I am standing on the front lawn near the sidewalk, but then some people came over. They were Hawaii 5-0 and I quickly saw my brother and I yelled his nickname, Crasher. Been a while. Danny whips his head towards me and grins, comes over, picks me up and spins me around. I don't let it show on my face or make a sound when he spin me around. It hurt a little bit because I'm still recovering from my injuries. He put me down and just smiled. It's been a while, Jumper, what are you doing here in Hawaii? I just smiled. Well, after I was done serving in the military, NCIS hired me since there is a dead Marine. It kind of falls in our jurisdiction. Before he could say anything, 4 people come over and one of them asks, how do you know Danny? I just smiled at the girl, who I'm guessing is Kono. Wait, Danny hasn't told you guys about me? They all looked confused. I give Danny a punch on his arm and just give them a smile. So I'm guessing my older twin brother doesn't talk about me a lot. All of them looked quite shocked. Danny just rubs his arm and glare at me. You know that kind of hurt, Jumper. I just roll my eyes and look at him. Sometimes you can be such a pansy, Crasher. He glares at me when I said that. I just shrugged. Before the two of us could get in an argument, Gibbs walk over and introduces himself. It's nice to finally meet you, 5-0. But you know this falls under our jurisdiction since it's a dead Marine. And a tall man quickly introduces himself. I'm Steve McGarrett, a Navy SEAL and the leader of this team. I understand this is your jurisdiction, but let me offer my team's help. Gibbs looks at me and I just shrug. Why not, Gibbs? They do know the island a lot better than we do, plus I think it would be quite beneficial for the investigation. I watch as Gibbs sigh and quickly respond, fine, but it's a joint operation, so all information has to be shared with each other. You got it, McGarrett. I understand, sir. And I noticed my brother looked absolutely shocked at what he said, so I quickly elbowed him in the ribs and he glared at me. What did you do that for? I look at him. You looked like you were about to have an aneurysm or you're about to shoot your own brains out. He just rolls his eyes. Before anything was said between us. Bella, let's go. That was Gibbs calling me to get my ass moving. Quickly hug Danny and he hugs me back. I quickly follow after my team. McGee is gonna go back with the body and everything that we found and give it to Abby. Steve's POV. When me and my team arrived, I was quite shocked. NCIS was already here, but I understood since it was a dead Marine. It's their jurisdiction, and when that girl yelled Crasher, we all watched as Danny quickly whipped his head towards her and grinned. We watched as he quickly ran towards her and spun her around. To the untrained eye, The girl looked like she was happy, but I could also see she was very highly uncomfortable. Danny quickly put her down and asked what she was doing here. Me, Chin, Kono and Lou walked over to the two of them. Kono asked how the two of them know each other. The girl just grinned and punched Danny in the arms and said, "My older twin brother doesn't talk about me," and when we all heard that we were quite shocked. And when Danny said that hurt and called her Jumper, she responded by, "Crasher, you're such a pansy." We all watched as he glared at her when she said that. I was definitely quite amused, and then her boss came over and introduced himself as Gibbs, and then I offered my help. I noticed he looked at her for confirmation. Eventually he agreed and they quickly headed off, and we were all looking at Danny. So I quickly asked, "When were you gonna tell us you had a little twin sister, Danny?" We watch as he quickly shrugs. "Well, I don't talk about Bella very much because she likes being private, but I should have mentioned her. Plus, we haven't been in contact for a while since she joined the military, but I know Gracie is gonna be happy to see her aunt." I was quite shocked when Danny said she was in the military. Wait, your sister was in the military? Hey Danny, what was her nickname? He just looked at me. A lot of people called her Wolf, since she has a tattoo of a wolf on her shoulder and a few others. Plus, I know she worked with military dogs as well. I was quite shocked when Danny said wolf. I heard about someone like that, but they never mentioned which gender they were. Now I am definitely a lot more interested in her. The next day, Danny's POV. I was happy that Bella was here. She stayed the night at my house, and her boss and other teammate, Tony, got a hotel room. She thought it would be a lot cheaper since I live in Hawaii, which she wasn't wrong. Gracie was definitely excited seeing Bella last night. And right now Bella is with Kono back at the palace, and I'm with her co-worker Tony. He's a pretty cool guy, makes a lot of movie references which I know probably drives my sister crazy. I mentioned when we were teenagers about how Bella knocked out a guy because he was picking on a girl. I mentioned how reckless she can be. Tony just chuckled. Yeah, Bella can be quite impulsive and is also very intimidating. The last case we had with Edward Cullen, the guy was a complete psychopath, killing female Marines, and cutting off their tattoos. When he said that, I remembered that name, Edward. The guy was a complete stalker and would not take no for an answer. So Tony, what happened on the case? Tony just shrugged and said Bella went undercover because she fit the profile. We had a tracker on her, but we didn't know the guy had a scrambler. He took her to a remote location and put some drugs in her system, and when Bella woke up, she fought back, but got a few cracked ribs and was shot in the abdomen. I was definitely surprised when she showed up a few days later shrugging it off. We also found a room with Bella's photos pretty much everywhere. The guy had a journal saying that she was the one that got away. Bella didn't even recognize who the guy was until she remembered that Edward stalked her in middle school. I just gave Tony a smile, but when I get back to HQ, I'm gonna have a few words with Bella. Bella's POV. Right now, I'm in Hawaii 5-0's headquarters. Kono went to go grab some lunch for the two of us. And right now I'm going through all our dead Marines' information, anyone he's contacted in the past few days and any weird transactions. Then something caught my eye, a number that he only called 3 times, and it was an unknown number and a few withdrawals as well. But I was quickly brought out of my thoughts when Steve walked in. "Oh hey, I'm sorry I didn't get your name yesterday." I just chuckled. "I'm Isabella Swan, but you can just call me Bella." He looked quite confused when I said that and I just chuckled. I started to laugh and explain. "I changed my last name to my grandmother's last name. I was close to her when we were kids, and since she was a nurse in the Navy, I thought I would be honoring her in a way." He smiled at me. "I was gonna ask you a question. Why do you call Danny Crasher?" I just smirked. "When we were learning how to bike, Danny was so nervous getting his training wheels off. First moment he got on, he immediately crashed into a tree." Steve started to laugh at what I said. "And one more, why does Danny call you Jumper?" I just roll my eyes. "I climbed trees a lot and loved to jump on the branches. I jumped out of one and broke my arm. It's just something I did as a kid." We started to talk, and I told him what I found. Steve got a call and he answered it, but he looked quite frustrated when the person hung up. "What's got you making that face, Steve?" He just sighs. "I think Catherine has been calling me, I think." I looked quite confused when he said that. "Oh sorry, me and Catherine dated for 2 years, then she left. She came back and I was going to propose to her, but I didn't get the chance because she left after being here for 3 days." I winced in sympathy. "That must suck." "I understand. I had a fiancé once. His name was Jacob Black and he was an engineer. We were going to get married, but it immediately flew out the window when I found out he was sleeping behind my back with one of my best friends, Angela, when I was deployed. I only found out because she ended up pregnant and Jacob was telling her that he will support her and the baby. He apparently wanted to have the both of us, but it didn't work out for him because I immediately called off the wedding. No one really knows why I called it off, They said I had cold feet or something, and my two best friends Leah and Paul know the truth. I never told my family or Danny at what transpired. If he ever found out, he would immediately go into Big Brother protective mode. Plus, Gracie never really got along with Jacob. I'm not gonna lie, my niece has excellent instincts, but she can be quite impulsive, which I know drives Danny insane. Also, please don't tell Danny about why I cancelled my wedding with Jacob. He would try to hunt the guy down and I would rather my brother not go to jail. Sure, you got it, Bella, that secret will stay between us. I just chuckled. Eventually Kono came back with some food, which I was thankful for. We were eating in the conference room. This is some pretty good shrimp. Where did you get it? Oh, we got from our friend Kamakona. He owns a food truck. I just smiled at that. You know, when I was a kid I want to own my own restaurant. Steve just smirked. Why is that? I chuckled. My grandmother owned a bar in New Orleans right after she got out of the military. I would visit her every summer and learn their cuisine. She made the best shrimp gumbo and fried catfish. And I'm the only good cook in the family. You know, when this investigation is done I could make you guys some food if you want. That would be awesome, Bella. Plus Danny can't cook for the life of him. Kono chuckled right after she said that. I know Danny can burn water and I'm still surprised. At least he takes a shot at cooking, and has gotten a lot better at it, but most of it can be inedible. We all laughed at that. When we finished, we threw our food away and walked out. Danny and Tony came in and I could see my brother is not in a good mood. Hey Crasher, what's up? He did that chuckle. Oh, what's up? Why didn't you tell me you were shot and kidnapped? And it registered in my head. I immediately glared at Tony, who flinched. We walked into Danny's office and I sat down. Danny, you know how the job works. Sometimes you're put in a difficult position and it's not like I haven't been in positions like that before. That's not the issue, Bella. It was your crazy stalker from middle school. I just sighed and put my head in my hands and rubbed my face. I didn't even remember the guy until the end of the investigation. Seriously Danny, I'm fine and you really need to take a chill pill. I got up and was about to walk out of the office until Danny grabbed me and lifted up my tank top, showing that my ribs are still wrapped, and same with my abdomen. So you're seriously good to run around and get shot at. I take in a few deep breaths and give Danny a look. I understand you're worried about me, Danny, but I can handle myself. Plus I'm okay to be in the field, and if it would make your mind be at ease I'll stay here in 50's headquarters. Before he could respond, I walked out of his office and Gibbs, Lou and Chin arrived probably when me and Danny were in his office. I quickly walk over and before I was gonna show everybody what I found, I smacked Tony over the head. He winced. Why did you do that, Bella? I gave him a look. Maybe don't talk about my job with my brother, and right now Danny has his panties all twisted up because of you. And before Tony could respond, I quickly showed what I found. Apparently our dead Corporal Officer Ryan made 3 calls in the last 3 days to an unknown number and has also made some withdrawals as well. He also went to a pretty fancy restaurant the day he apparently went missing, and I quickly called Abby and Ducky and putting them on the monitor. Hey Gibbs, Bella and Tony, apparently there was some residue on our dead Navy officer's hands. I'm still figuring out what it is. Nice job Abby, Gibbs said. And Ducky, what did you find? Well, apparently our dead Marine was killed in a way you guys might recognize. Since our dead man had clothes on when you found him, I believe none of you saw it, but he was apparently cut open and his heart was cut in half, same with his lungs and livers. Yeah, why does this remind me of something? I'm not gonna lie. If this was about organ trafficking, they would want those organs intact. Isn't that right, Gibbs? You're spot on, Bella. So what was our corporal up to? But there was unusual markings on his body. We quickly listened to Ducky. Apparently our Marine had a tattoo as well, but what I found in an area where the flesh was cut off, I found bite marks. It's apparently from multiple different types of animals. I instantly groaned. Oh, you have to be fucking kidding me. Gibbs was rubbing his face, and Tony was just shaking his head, and Steve asked, why are you guys look upset about this? I quickly pulled up a file that we had about a serial killer. They all looked quite confused, so I elaborated. This guy is called the puppeteer, pun intended. He would kill his victims and put them in costumes and position them how he wanted, and carved a symbol into their body, but there was always something missing: eyes, tongue, heart, liver, or something else. But we always found animal bite marks on the person. This guy was interested in multiple religions with the dead and thought he was a necromancer. He killed a Marine a week before Halloween, so we were put on the case. His preferred targets are usually doctors, nurses or cops. He really didn't care about gender. So me and McGee went undercover and found out one of the spots he might show up, but we didn't know he had a partner that he was training to take over for him. The place we thought he would be We walked into a room and there was a can of tear gas thrown inside where we were immediately shot with tranquilized darts, and when I woke up, I was definitely groggy but I immediately felt for my gun. Except they took it, but at least they didn't take my knife which I had on me. The man Raymond had a weird relationship with the boy Todrick. They acted like master and apprentice, but more of a father teaching his son how to do something. They were going to dress us up as man and wife. And thank God, McGee quickly woke up as well and grabbed his taser that he had. So the two of us were making sure we had each other's backs, but they did have our weapons so we made sure we were careful, and when we eventually found them, they had a weird place set up. There were animal skulls everywhere, so we found out where those animal bite marks now came from and there was like an altar in the middle of the room. We were able to restrain the boy, and Gibbs was the one who killed the man. The boy was 18 but the state decided to put him in a mental health hospital. Apparently the man was an orphan and that's how he decided to choose his apprentice as well. Except the boy Todrick, who had a heart attack last year and sadly passed away, was his MO, because the Marine was killed by him in this way, and how we found this dead Marine was how Todrick killed his first victim. There was an awkward silence for a few minutes, but Steve quickly broke it. So what you're saying is maybe the guy taught another person and might be on the island. I sighed, but that's the issue, Steve. He didn't teach another person, and we never gave out this information to the public. So I'm wondering how this guy was able to get that information. But Kono quickly asked a question, but what if the man you killed was also taught that way by somebody else? We also thought about that, Kono, except when we went to the man's house, we found journals which we went through. Apparently, he was bullied by 3 boys. One of the boys decided to become a police officer, another one decided to become a doctor, the last one decided to become a nurse. Those 3 boys became his first victims, and apparently Raymond was not mentally well and had multiple personality disorder. And each of
Hey guys, if you listened to the end of the fanfiction, thank you very much. This is the first chapter and the second one will be coming pretty soon. I'm working as I'm going with this one, similar to my other fanfictions. I hope you guys enjoyed the story so far and come back for more. I hope you guys have a wonderful day and see you next time. Bye.